Okay, so what if I told you that long, long before humanity ever existed, heaven was already operating not under some lone king, but with a whole complex celestial administration? Today, we're going to dive into an ancient idea that might just challenge everything you thought you knew about the cosmic order.
I really want you to think about that for a second. Let's just push aside that popular image of a single, solitary ruler on a throne. Instead, try to picture a bustling, structured administration, a whole heavenly assembly, all up and running before the first human ever took a breath.
Now, I know it might sound like something out of a sci-fi novel, but this idea, it actually comes from a very, very old place. The sources hint that there's a much deeper story here, a kind of hidden government in the heavens, and the key to unlocking it has been sitting in plain sight for thousands of years.
The whole entire concept really hinges on understanding the true meaning of just one single, really powerful, and honestly often misunderstood ancient word. And that word is Elohim. Now, this is where things get super interesting. See, while a lot of translations just say God, the word itself is actually plural. It can mean a single deity, sure, but it can also refer to a group, an assembly of divine beings. And that little detail, that plurality, well, that's our first major clue.
So this brings us right to the heart of the matter, the Council of Elohim. Well, according to the source material, this was a real gathering of heavenly beings, the Elohim, and they stood right in God's presence. But here's the kicker. They weren't just a passive audience, just standing around. No, they were actively participating in divine administration. The most crucial part, this whole structured council wasn't set up for humanity. It was already there before humanity. Okay, I get it. This might all sound a little abstract, a little out there. But what if I told you there's a passage in the scriptures that reads almost like an eyewitness account of this very council in action?
This is where the idea really comes to life for me. A prophet named Micaiah gives us this incredibly rare, super dramatic glimpse into one of these celestial meetings. And suddenly this heavenly government feels, well, it feels real.
Just listen to this. He says, "I saw the Lord sitting on his throne and all the hosts of heaven standing beside him." You can just picture it, can't you? A throne room, but it's not empty. It is packed with a celestial host.
And believe me, this was no small board meeting. The vision describes thousands of them there. The scale is it's mind-boggling. It's meant to show you the immense size and power of this celestial administration. We're talking about an operation of truly cosmic proportions.
So, an administration that huge, it has to have a purpose, right? What did it actually do? Well, Micaiah's vision gives us some really fascinating clues about how heaven actually operated, not as some whimsical kingdom, but as a structured, functioning government.
The process seems to be pretty clear. First, the Elohim gather. They assemble in the divine presence. Then, and this is key, they're not just silent. They actually participate in deliberation. They talk things over. And finally, step 3, they're tasked with carrying out, with administering the divine will. It's a clear chain of command, a clear function. Once you grasp this idea of a pre-human order, it kind of reframes your whole perspective. It suggests that things like order and delegated authority and even deliberative government, these aren't human inventions. They might just be woven into the very fabric of the cosmos itself. So let's just put these two views right next to each other. On the one hand, you've got that common image of a lone monarch, right? A single ruler making all the calls alone. But on the other hand, you've got this incredible concept of a divine council, a huge celestial administration that's participating in the work of heaven. It's a fundamental shift in how we see things. And really, that's the ultimate takeaway here. The existence of the Elohim, the idea of a divine council, and that stunning vision from Micaiah, they all point to one incredible conclusion. Heaven was operating with deliberate order, with structure, and with a full-blown administration, long before we ever showed up. Which, of course, leaves us with one final, pretty profound question to chew on. If the heavens were organized with such an intricate structure way before we were even in the picture, what does that imply about our own purpose and our own place within that cosmic order? What does a celestial government that predates humanity truly mean for the story of creation itself?